Good morning, Fresno. This is Right to Life Radio. I am John Girardi. Thank you so much for tuning in. As I said, this is Right to Life Radio. This is the radio show and podcast of Right to Life of Central California. If you want more information on what Right to Life of Central California does and is doing here locally in the Valley, check us out online at righttolifeca.org. Give us a call at 229-2229. We've got a lot of great educational initiatives that we're working on, great educational programs for your churches, for your schools, for school clubs. We have lots of great resources and educational presentations we provide as an organization. So get in touch with us, get to know the work we're doing. We'll be talking a bit about the educational event we have coming up next week, a week from today on Thursday, April 27th, our annual educational dessert. But first, before we do that, let's jump into the news a little bit. What we have going on right now in California. So one of the problems we see in California is this. We have a state legislature that is dominated by pro-choice majorities. They have 2/3 of majority in the state assembly. They have 2/3 majorities in the state senate. And our governor, Jerry Brown, is pro-choice. So we don't have much room to advance good things, and we have limited room to prevent bad things from happening. And one of the difficulties when you're talking about state government, just because it's a bit more obscure and there aren't as many, Fox News is not covering what goes on in the California State Capitol. CNN is not covering what goes on in the California State Capitol, and that makes sense. I mean, those are national outlets. This is state government. And more people consume their news now through national outlets, not through local outlets, not through regional outlets. That's why, newspapers are dying. People go to the internet. They read Drudge. And the problem with that is that Drudge is giving you things from a national perspective. Your newspaper was highly localized. So as it relates to our state government, there are lots of bills that get introduced into our state legislature that no one hears about until it's too late. Even the Fresno Bee, as much as it has a kind of state focus, it doesn't wind up covering some of these really controversial bills until after they've already passed, until after the die is cast. Certainly, they'll cover a few things, like the tax increase. They covered that, and the big gas tax increase that's going to be coming. They'll cover stuff like that, but a lot of things don't even get a headline. And this is one of those bills I'm going to discuss with you. This is SB 320. SB 320, Senate Bill 320. And what does this bill do? This is an abortion bill. Essentially, it requires every California State University, every University of California branch, and every community college in the state to provide basically early-stage abortions, early-stage chemical abortions for all of their students. Basically, in their student health centers, they have to have early-stage chemical abortion access. Now, this is, I would say, completely horrific and totally, this is the problem with our state government. They are doing so many radical things, and you've probably never heard of this bill. Essentially, what this does is it will turn the student health center at every California State University, every University of California school. So your kid goes to Fresno State, your kid goes to UC Davis, your kid goes to is just going over to Fresno City or something, taking some classes. The health centers at all of those colleges and universities, if this bill passes, the health centers at all of those colleges and universities will effectively become abortion clinics. This is basically what's called chemical abortion, and it's called RU-486 commonly. It's a bit more extreme than what we would know of as emergency contraception or the morning after pill. This is something that can be taken several weeks following following conception. And it's kind of a dramatic drug in terms of its effect on a woman. It is inducing a miscarriage. It's sort of a two-stage drug that it's not even something that can be taken at home. It can only be prescribed and taken within the setting of some kind of medical center or health setting. So it's a fairly drastic drug, and it's just going to be, and student medical services at colleges and universities, they're not really designed for something like this. They're for smaller level things, and they let hospitals deal with the big stuff. But regardless of how extreme, whatever, how strenuous this level of treatment, this method of treatment in air quotes is, effectively this violates a sort of long-standing principle we've had in American politics, which is this: we disagree on abortion. We disagree as a country about abortion. Roughly half the country thinks abortion is wrong in some way, maybe should be illegal. The other half of the country is relatively positive towards it, doesn't think it should be illegal, etc. But one thing most Americans agree on is that taxpayer dollars should not pay for abortion. That's why for 40 years, Congress has passed this thing called the Hyde Amendment. The Hyde Amendment basically was a rider that got attached to the federal budget every year. And it designated that no federal funds were allowed to go towards abortion. No federal funding for abortion. And that's why, to this day, Medicaid doesn't pay for abortion. None of the other federal health insurance programs pay for abortion. Now, California has long broken with this tradition as far as our state government goes. In fact, California has gone so far on this question that what California did was for Medicare, so if you are a Medi-Cal recipient, you can get access to a Medi-Cal-funded, low-cost, or even free abortion. And how is that if federal dollars aren't supposed to pay for abortion? Well, California set up a whole separate strain of purely California dollars so that if you're a Medi-Cal recipient, you can still get purely state government money to pay for your abortion. That's how extreme California is, that we've broken from this national consensus on abortion funding, that we think abortion should be treated no differently than any other health concern. In fact, we've gone so extreme that our state regulators have redefined the term essential services. So every healthcare plan in California has to cover, quote, essential services by law. They redefined what essential services meant in order to include elective abortion. So as a result, every healthcare plan in this state has to cover elective abortion. So here's California, a total outlier from the rest of the country, total outlier from how abortion is funded federally, which is to say, not funded. And now we're going this step even further. We're going to make all of our colleges and universities essentially early-term abortion clinics. And guess who's going to pay for it? You are. Your taxpayer dollars are going to wind up paying for kids at community colleges and at California State Universities and University of California. They're going to have to pay for abortion. So it's a monstrous thing that our state is doing. And this isn't even the only bad bill as it relates to abortion within our state legislature right now. There are lots of other bad bills that are being tossed around. One is AB 569 from Lorena Gonzalez Fletcher, who's from an assemblywoman down in San Diego. This bill would prevent churches from prohibiting their employees from getting abortions. So basically what this does is it becomes kind of a new sort of category for employers, a new sort of non-discrimination category for employers. If you're an employer, you can't discriminate in your hiring or firing on the basis of a whole bunch of different categories: race, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, marital history, whether someone's pregnant or not. There are all kinds of things that you're not allowed to take into consideration in hiring or firing. What this bill would do is to add a decision to have an abortion into that list of categories that you're not allowed to consider in hiring or firing. Now, that is really monstrous, and we're going to get into it after the break. This is Right to Life Radio. I'm John Girardi. Stick around. We'll be telling you more about some of these bad California bills right after the break.